is the SIG P365 380, the best 380 for senior shooters. It's time we find out. Let's hit the range. It's time for another exciting episode of our Senior 380 series. That's right, we're back out here at Daryl's awesome indoor shooting range. Today, the 380 that we're assessing is the SIG P365 380. And similar to episode 2 where we shot the G42, in today's video we have two P365 380s that are slightly different, both based on the original size P365, though my 380 version has the XL grip with 12 round magazines, while the Cruise has the bare stock 10 round shorter grip 365. And we'll be shooting both of those today and commenting on the pluses and minuses we find along the way. One note is I only have 6 rounds loaded in my magazine for simplicity's sake and easy comparison versus our Glock from our previous episode. Let me do a few shots here first, and then we'll give a crew their time to put some rounds down range. Here we go. I'm going to aim at the cranium zone on our silhouette target today. Okay. You think I should do one more magazine? That group out there looks pretty good.
That's why I said you should shoot one more.
All right, the crew wants me to shoot one more magazine. Here we go, 6 more rounds at the cranium zone of our silhouette target. Here we go. I think I turned our silhouette into a cyclops. All right. Here you go.
Okay, this is it's my own personal SIG 365. It's stock.
Maybe take a step to the left.
And again, I don't remember the last time I cleaned it or shot it. It's been quite a while. What's that?
You have a good group going out there.
All right, well, I'm gonna shoot
the no pinky extension magazine this time.
Yep, no pinky extension.
Why don't you do 6 from the one with the extended grip?
Okay. All right.
And that has a slightly different trigger, the stock flat face trigger.
Yep, dead center.
Yeah, clean hit on the primer.
We'll try it again, though.
Well, that's why they call it range ammo.
Or they call it range ammo.
I would say that's a very good group. And dare I say, better than the group shot last week with the G42. Was there anything you liked or didn't like about that P365?
It feels very similar to the G42. Having
Kinda like
the additional 10 rounds of ammunition, or having 10 rounds versus 6 was not a big seller to me. The perceived recoil feels about the same. I like the sights on it. I definitely like the flat-faced trigger better than the trigger on my stock model. But again, it's a good gun. I like them. I like them both. And for some reason, I shot it a little bit better. I don't know why.
Did you think the XL, the longer grip, made a difference compared to the 10-round magazines or the pinky extension?
Always like a pinky extension on a smaller pocket pistol. But when I shoot the stock magazine, I don't think accuracy-wise it makes any difference. It's just a little easier on my own hand.
Okay. Well, we got Cyclops here.
Guys, you shot that great.
Hard to complain about that. Now that you've shot the Ruger Security 380, the Glock G42, and the SIG P365 380, of those 3 pistols, is there one that you think is better suited for a senior citizen shooter compared to the others?
Okay. This is a rare case where all 3 guns are solid bargains. I think from watching prices that the SIG has gone up in price a little bit while the Glock and the Ruger are still at the lower price point. I think as a senior citizen, if I were going to go out and just buy one, I would probably buy the Ruger because of the easy rack, and that way I could have one gun for home defense for both myself and my wife. I'm fairly certain that with both the Glock and the SIG, that are good guns that I like, that my wife would have a tough time racking. So I think I'd pick the Ruger, but they're all great.
The Ruger just has a little better features in terms, like a more well-rounded setup, shall we say?
Yeah, the easy rack would make a difference if I was buying. If I'm just buying it for me, and they're all similarly priced, I'd probably buy the Glock or the 365, depending on which is at the better price point, because I think it's a little bit more concealable, and I really like the way they fit my hand.
Makes sense.
But not everybody is going to, some people are going to have more or less arthritis.
Well, and with capacity not being high on your list, the capacity difference between the Glock and the SIG isn't really a factor in the decision, it sounds like.
And when you take that out, the guns are very, very similar. And I know some people are going to say, well, 10 is better than 6. And the way I kind of look at it is if I need 10, I'm in a whole lot more trouble.
Yeah.
So.
And things like the modular fire control unit and being able to change the grips on the SIG don't really factor into your decision either.
I would say that it is a factor, but I put the Hogue grips on my Glock, which were relatively low cost, and I really like them.
Okay, makes sense. Well, I think those are all great points that our viewers will appreciate you sharing your insight on.
Well, I hope so. In my not an expert opinion.
Of course. Giving a final breakdown here on the P365 from the crew's perspective. As we saw here in today's video, when it comes to things like capacity and customization potential, those are pretty low on their list and trumped by ease of use features and price. Those two things were much more important to them than capacity or the customization. And one area where we saw that in today's video was the XL grip versus the stock grip using a 10-round magazine with the pinky extension. While they commented they liked that flat face trigger, when it came to the XL grip, they actually preferred the 10-round magazine with the pinky extension over having to buy a different grip frame and spend the money on that. They also thought that while that XL grip was nice, if you could buy that as the stock option for no extra price, if they were going to spend the money on the grip, they'd probably just put a Hogue grip sleeve on it over putting the XL grip, as they felt that the pinky extension magazines handled the need of getting a full hand comfortable hold on the firearm. When the crew and I shoot the P365 380s, they often comment that the P365 feels like what the Glock G42 would be if it were updated. And if the Glock G42 were in the same price point now as the P365, I think it would have been a much harder to pick between the two. But because these days the G42 is probably $200 cheaper than the P365, the crew went with budget over capacity and customization in terms of these two firearms. One question younger generations especially are going to grapple with is, how could someone choose ease of use and price over capacity and customization? And a lot of that, I think, comes down to what your priorities are. If you're looking for just a concealed carry firearm that you can comfortably use, that you have a high degree of confidence in, and if you feel like you're not going to be in a John Woo action movie, you're okay going with the easier to use firearm. And if you're on a budget like most of us in this world live on, you're probably going to go with the option that is more budget friendly. And one thing you heard the crew mention in the final interview question of today's video is, while they thought the G42 and the P365 are both very good 380s and certainly can fill the need for many senior citizen shooters out there, the winner between our first three entries in the series was the Ruger Security 380, and that came down to mostly the easy use features with a very close secondary mention of how budget-friendly the Security 380 is. It's both the most budget-friendly pistol in the series so far, but also by far the easiest to use in terms of loading the magazines, racking the slide, seeing the sights, things that are important to any shooter, but especially your aged shooter. Now, don't worry if you were expecting or hoping to see some other 380s in sort of a breakdown. We're going to get there. We're just in episode 3. And before getting to episode 9 or 10, we thought we would do a little breakdown at the end of this third episode here to just break down what might have won between those first three pistols. So if you're hoping to see how something like the Smith & Wesson EZ 380, the Ruger LCP Max, the Smith & Wesson Bodyguard 2.0, the Beretta 80X Cheetah, etc., might stack up on the crew's list and what their positives and negatives are from that senior shooter's perspective, don't worry, we're going to get to those. Look for those videos in the coming weeks and months as we build out more videos in this Senior Challenge video series.
Well, this seems like a good place to end our video for today. If you like and enjoyed our content, please let us know in the comments section. And if you have time, please click that subscribe button. And Finn and I really appreciate you getting this far.